steering it is broken now.
The hills are alive with the sound of V6 turbo hybrids here at the Red Bull Ring, the set for today's Austrian Grand Prix, which is sure to set off quite a few challenges for the teams and the drivers. The circuit is one of the shortest on the calendar with only 7 rights and 3 left, and turn 2 is barely a turn at all. They'll be flat out through there with just a small king on the run down to the tight braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake, aided especially by the DRS on the rundown to both of those. The drivers definitely have to have something in store in order to pull out a win today. The grid then, and even with an injured wrist, Max Chapman has clinched P1. He's on pole position with a 1:03 and 27 thousandths, and next to him is the Ferrari of Titan. He had a good qualifying, but behind him is the Renault of Robbie Walsh. He's joined by Joel Foxhall in that pink Racing Point. No change to his position from last week. Ian Hanmore in P5. He's a good qualifying for him today, but he's joined by Torben Schutt. Not so good for him, but Jay Robinson, outstanding from him. 9/10ths behind P1. He's joined by the Haas of Widderson. Behind is James Wilson, who didn't start last week, but will start today, and he's also joined by Casper Meach. Not a great qualifying for him either. On the free tyre choice is Rinser, and Dylan Hartley, not a good qualifying for him either. Andre Muster and Archie Middlefeld are on P13 and P14. One of the Red Bulls not making it into Q3. Andre Abreu and Ben Mitchell are your 15 and 16. On the 9th row of the grid is both the McLarens. They've got to step things up if they want to win. And on the rear row of the grid is Thomas Salomon, the Haas, and Amani Graham, our new driver for the Williams. Well, what will we see today here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria? We're getting ready for the drivers coming onto the grid for that formation lap. We join them as they're getting ready, getting out onto the grid, and we'll see them go in just a second. Sam joins me in the commentary box today. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing well. I hope you are all doing well as well. It's set to be an exciting race. As you said in the intro, not everyone had the best qualifying, so it's going to be interesting to see who can make up for that today.
Really interesting. Only one alternate strategy today. P14, Middlefell. He's on the medium tyres. Everybody else starts on those softs. Every single one of the Q2 runners elected for the soft tyres.
Yeah, definitely. And what an absolute pleasure it is. It's a full grid today. Full 20 drivers will be starting the race, obviously, with our new recruit down at Williams with Amani Graham. It's great to see a full grid back in action. So it's going to be an interesting race. As you said, everyone's starting on those softs except from P14 Archie Middlefeld on those mediums.
Unfortunately, he's starting from the back, and he seems to be caught in a bit of a kerfuffle with the medium runner, Middlefell. He's wondering whether to go back because the Renault is actually glitching back, and his internet may let him down, which could cause a collision into turn 1, unfortunately. But Amani Graham, obviously, he did not get a chance to qualify. Obviously, the ex-Williams driver, Harper, retired and, put in his resignation just 20 minutes before the event, so we didn't have enough time to draft a Williams driver. But today, Imani Graham is in that place, and he's at the back, so what can he do from all the way back there?
Yeah, definitely. It's all going to be about race pace today. He's obviously going to be practicing that, no doubt. Obviously, he didn't have qualifying on his mind. It was just about the race. So it's going to be an interesting one for him. Obviously, his first race in this sort of league environment. So the pressure could get to him, but we'll have to see what he can do. And it's going to be an interesting one to watch, obviously, starting P20 today. So a lot of overtakes needed if he wants points on his debut.
The drivers are starting to line up on the grid. The front 10 evidently far in front of the back 10, and that's going to be really detrimental to Max Chapman's tyres. Obviously, we saw Amani Graham and Middlefell all the way at the back. Their tyres are going to be freezing by the time the other drivers get to the grid, but they are forming up just at the back. We go all the way back to Amani Graham, and we see him just coming onto the grid as well as Middlefell at the start. So, stand by, folks, because it's going to be a good one here in the Österreich hills of Styria. The lights are on. And the drivers are already... They're going, it's lights out, and away we go. It looked as if someone had jumped the start there at the back, but who gets a good start? One of the Renault gets a good start and pushes Ian Hammer out wide. Who's that? That's one of the racing points at the back is getting caught with Dylan Hartley, and Jay Robinson has already dropped all the way back down towards the midfield. Robinson and Hartley now together, but a really clean start from all of them. Titan is maintaining his P2. Welsh is up into P4. Hanmore has dropped back to P6 because of that collision. And who's that at the back? That's one of the Renaults as well, trying to get an inch of it. And into turn 3, there's a huge kerfuffle with at least 5 drivers going wide.
Definitely a pretty clean start, but it looks like Casper Meach in the Alfa Romeo may have jumped start. If that is true, we'll have got a drive-through penalty, but a fairly clean start thus far.
That's really unfortunate for him as Robbie Walsh goes round the outside of turn 4, just like Alex Albon did, but Short maintains the position and down into turn 5. It looks like there may be a collision, but oh, just missing. And oh, wow. What a start that was.
Yeah, really nice overtake there from Robbie Welsh coming through turn 4, as you said. Nicely done. Obviously, Ian Hanmore really lost out at the start, being pushed wide by...
And he's lost out again,
Renault.
he spun! That's Ian Hanmore has spun into turn 8. I don't know if that's some sort of mechanical issue. It looked as though he was slow, but he goes side by side with his teammate into the last couple of corners, and who swings that? Someone's wing is going back, and oh, one of the Red Bulls has jumped the corner and forced Ian into him. Oh, no!
Yeah, that's a really awful start for Ian Hanmore, down in P11 now. Really not good stuff for him, but... hopefully he'll be able to make that up later on in the race, but he might be coming into... No, he hasn't come in, but he needs to replace that front wing, I think.
All the way in the midfield, Wilson has managed to get past Widdowson and into turn 3. Widdowson's going to take the inside line and force Wilson out line. That's a really good overtake there from Wilson.
Yeah, nicely done from from James Wilson in that Racing Point. Had a good start, actually got a few positions on the start, so really good stuff from the Racing Point driver, but it's really tight coming into turn 3 with the Haas driver.
Oh, and they touch going through there, and they haven't actually spun. Jay Robinson's come into the pits after that, promoting Amani Graham up to P90, but some tight racing there, and it looked like the Haas just clipped the front tyre of that Racing Point, but fortunately, he managed to keep it all on the 4 wheels and pointing straight.
Yeah, very much similar to that Albon Hamilton incident. The Haas just completely closed the door on that Racing Point, so I don't think James Wilson will be happy with that, but he's behind. He's going to have that DRS within a few laps, also that slipstream, so he has the opportunities coming up.
Max Chapman, within 3 laps, has already managed to eke out a 6-7 tenths of a second on the car behind, but just behind Titan is Foxhole, and he is inching for that 2nd place.
Yeah, nicely done. Another great start from Fox, actually gaining 1 position on the start. So some really good stuff from the Racing Point driver. As you said, very nice distance to the Ferrari ahead of him. He's got that opportunity in a few laps now, in fact, to get that DRS and hopefully get an overtake within the next few laps.
Oh, and the Red Bull of Mustard here at the Red Bull Ring has gone so deep into turn 3 and lost about 5 positions.
Yeah, that's a real shame. We saw this in qualifying. The 2 Red Bull boys did not have the pace, really, to get through to Q3, so it's a shame to see them down in P17 and 18 at the moment. It's going to be a long drive at the moment, but they could help themselves out if they have a good strategy.
Well, boys, there's a battle beginning to emerge here for the last points position between Hanmore, who we saw get tangled in that first lap incident. As long as he can keep that line, he should be fine, but he's battling with the McLaren of Amara. Amara, once again, in the points positions. We saw him gain his first ever points back at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve back in Canada, and 2 weeks later, he's inching once again for some more points.
Yeah, once again, our 2 usual suspects, Josh and Ian Hamel, seem to fight a lot on the track. We've seen a few fights, specifically that one in the Netherlands comes to mind, as the Williams up ahead actually goes very deep going into turn 1. Josh O'Mara might be able to get a move done coming in towards turn 2. We'll have to see what he can do here.
Up in the front, Felix, is Titan. He's got past Chapman in the deep braking zone of turn 3. Is this where we're seeing Chapman's physical condition start to deteriorate?
Yeah, obviously he was carrying that injury in qualifying. Impressive stuff to get that pole position by 5 tenths. But yeah, potentially, obviously, in the wheel-to-wheel battles, that concentration is needed. And obviously that physical ability is absolutely vital. So yeah, he may have made a little mistake as a result of that injury. But Titan ahead at the moment by about half a second.
That's really good for him in that middle sector to gain about a second. Because if you do cast your mind back to last lap, on lap 3, he was about a second behind, and now he's 6 tenths in front, and Joel Foxhall is 5 tenths behind Chapman as well. This is not something we see often, and Foxhall is definitely within a chance of this race.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously Foxhall within that DRS range of Max Chapman, so he's going to be getting that DRS on the 2 DRS zones on this straight as well. So yeah, he's got a real chance coming to turn 3, but Max Chapman still has that DRS off of the Ferrari ahead of him.
Yeah, DRS already enabled. I mean, it doesn't feel like we've been 5 laps in, but it definitely has. 5 minutes into the Grand Prix, we've already had 2 pit stops from the Alfa Romeo of Meech and Robinson, and we've said, obviously, as much as they don't want to, as much as they don't want to pit, maybe pitting early is the better option, because Casper Meech has come back from it, and who's that? At the back, that's Imani Graham. Imani Graham has retired. I'm not too sure what that's for.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I saw that pop up on my screen actually, but I think that that pit stop from Casper Meech may have been that drive-through penalty we saw at the start. That definitely flashed up on my screen. I'm not too sure whether that was a drive-through penalty served by Casper Meech. Down in P15 at the moment.
We're on board with Titan. We're gonna see if we can see the yellow flag. And yeah, there he's lost a rear through. Turn 10 and gone straight into that wall at the end of the pit straight. Unfortunately for Imani, his first race has come to such an unfortunate end.
Yeah, that is a real shame for Imani now. Obviously, his first race, that pressure potentially got to him slightly, but no doubt he'll come back fighting. Next week, he'll have the whole weekend in order to fight with these guys.
Up in the top fleets is Chapman, who's just bumped Titan there going through turn 3. Obviously, no damage taken there for him because some good close racing, but Foxhall is beginning to come back, and Joel Foxhall has actually left the session. We're going to see if we can try and get him back in, but he's going to lose so much time because of the AI. But who's that? That's Titan is in front by a decided margin, but as soon as he gets on that DRS, Chapman is within half a second. So could we see an overtake into the first couple corners?
Yeah, potentially. Obviously, at the on the exit of these corners, that Alfa Romeo has some incredible traction coming from that Ferrari engine. Obviously, both Ferrari engines, but potentially the difference in setup is really playing dividends to the Alfa Romeo driver. As you said, Joel Fox will really dropping back with that internet issue now, and P6 about to be overtaken by his teammate.
That's so unfortunate for him. Obviously battling for second, and now he's down in 6th place. That's a difference of about 12 points there between those two positions. So it's really, really detrimental to that Racing Point team to have driver drop from 3rd all the way down to the 6th position, and possibly even further if he does not get back in. But Ian Hanmore is still battling with Josh O'Mara.
Yeah, those two do fight very hard. Obviously, Josh O'Mara is getting that DRS from the Renault ahead of him of Archie Middlefeld. Archie Middlefeld hasn't got any DRS, so coming into turn 3, there could be a double overtake here from Hanmore if he's brave. But
he's gone down the inside, but he didn't commit quite enough.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, by going half-heartedly, he's lost about half a second to Josh.
Yeah, that was not committed enough, and now Thomas Salomon is hot on his tail. It's actually let him go past by the looks of it, so I'm not sure if there's any collision between those two on a previous lap.
That could have been a strategy there from the Mercedes guys to get the DRS. Obviously, we saw Josh pulling away, so if Ian didn't have the DRS down the back straight, it was almost certain that the Haas in front would overtake him, but by letting him past, he does have the DRS opportunity, but the Haas is still pulling away, so it may be that, that Ian doesn't even get the DRS.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not too sure what's happened there with Ian, but that's a real shame.
There's the yellow flag in sector 3. Who's that? That's Andre Abreu. Andre Abreu has gone absolutely wide. The second William to go wide and into the wall in sector 3. Is that a mechanical issue from that car? We said Imani unluckily went back into that turn 10 wall, and Andre's now done it too. So, is that some sort of mechanical issue? Maybe some sort of suspension or rear end issue of that Williams car?
I really don't know if the Williams are really start to struggle on those soft tyres. Coming through turn 1, Andre completely lost his back end, and coming through turn 3, he's really struggling with that oversteer. So I'm not too sure if he's having a few issues with tyre wear at this stage of the race.
Down into turn 4, we see Josh O'Mara with the DRS has managed to get past Archie Middlefeld, and Archie Middlefeld tried to switch with him on the yellow marks medium tyres, but just couldn't do it. Down the inside, and there's a virtual safety car. I'm not too sure what that is for. Is that maybe the stewards thinking about Andre's debris down in the final sector?
I honestly don't really know what that's for, but going back to the point with Archie Middlefeld and Josh O'Mara, that battle is going to really harm Archie Middlefeld's tyre wear, and he doesn't want to be doing that. He's obviously on that alternate strategy. He's on those medium tyres. They're going to go much longer than the soft tyres compared to everyone else around him.
Just whilst this virtual safety car is happening, we'll go to the race start and we'll watch it once again. Just what happened, we see at the rear, obviously because the light system doesn't work for us, Casper Meech definitely jumped it by quite some margin, and down the inside, Ian Hamill got a flyer of a start, but closing the gate was Robbie Welsh, just completely closed him out. And who was that? That was Wilson also closing Jay Robinson out. That's why he lost so many positions into the start. Yeah, just so much happening in the space of about 2 turns.
Yeah, definitely. And under that virtual safety car period, we've had 2 drive-through penalties issued. One to the Ferrari driver, Torben Schut, and one to Robbie Welsh, that are currently battling on track at the moment. But they're both going to have to serve a drive-through penalty.
Well, Robbie Walsh's teammate here, Archie Middlefeld with a DRS into turn 4. They're going to go side by side. Josh Amara's going to close the door on Archie Middlefeld, and he's going to get oversteer for Archie Middlefeld. Oh, that was so close, just exactly as we saw before. Middlefeld is now ahead into turn 6, but round the outside, Archie Middlefeld has managed to save the position, but Josh Amara down the inside, sticking it out, is managing to just keep in front, but all is side by side into each and every one of these Sector 2 corners. And Josh Amara's had a massive spin, and who is he taking with him? It's Thomas Salaman. He's taken Thomas Salaman with him.
Yeah, that was a big spin there from Omar, obviously taking the Haas with him. But to be honest, the Renault completely pushed Josh out very wide. I'm not sure if you saw that on the stream, but yeah, that was looking like some really good racing coming through turn 6 and 7. But it's a shame to see that Archie Middlefeld really pushed Josh out into the gravel.
We'll go ahead and try and watch that once again. Welsh has now overtaken Middlefeld. Remember, the drivers cannot serve their drive-through penalties during a virtual or full safety car period. So, these drivers who have the drive-through are really going to miss out, because obviously the pack is now grouped together. The tyre wear is going to get even worse, and now they've got to serve the drive-through penalty on top of that.
Yeah, that's a real shame. This is not a good time for this virtual safety car to come out for these two drivers. Obviously, Torbjorn and Robbie Welsh still carrying that drive-through penalty from their previous infringements under their previous virtual safety car.
Go ahead and talk us through Titan then. Obviously, his teammate has got a drive-through penalty. How does he try and now avoid any sort of mistakes to get the car behind away from him? And, well, he needs to propel himself into the lead.
Yeah, definitely. And just after speaking about the previous drive-through penalties, we've got some more, actually, in Casper Meach potentially having another drive-through penalty after speeding, and also James Wilson in the Racing Point. So 2 more virtual safety car infringements, and therefore drive-through penalties. But I don't think we're under this virtual safety car period anymore. And Max Chapman is actually overtaken coming through turn 3. He's overtaken Titan, obviously, under the safety car. There was no pit stops from these two, but they're fighting again coming through towards turn 4. Is he going to make a lunge? No, he's not. He's going to be very conservative coming into turn 3, quite sensibly too.
We saw Max... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was it, really.
We saw Max Chapman dive down the inside into turn 3, but then on the exit got a huge snap of oversteer. And once again, that could harm the actual physical and mental capacity of that driver. We said that he is injured, and a snap of oversteer definitely isn't going to do a sprained wrist any good.
No, definitely not. That's going to be an interesting one. But luckily that Max caught that to us, because that was a huge snap of oversteer. And coming through turn 9, the back end of Titan's car was completely stepping out. You know, he had no rear grip at all. I really think these soft tyres are starting to come to the end of their life.
If we talk about the midfield, Wilson is now down, isolated in P9. There's not much for him to happen, but the dark horse, sort of, the man who's normally in the midfield, Widdowson, has managed to put himself in the 3rd place.
Yeah, nicely done from the Haas driver. And we were just talking about, or at the start of the race, we were talking about the 2 Red Bull drivers. They're up in P8 and P10 at the moment, looking very, very strong. Obviously, no pit stops from them at the moment, but still, they made up a lot of positions, so some really good stuff from the 2 drivers.
Go ahead and talk us through Joel Foxhall.
Joel Foxhall in P4 at the moment. Obviously, he's got that lap car ahead of him. I can only assume it's obviously either Adam Forbes or Josh Omar. I'm not too sure where he is in relation to the track. It looks like it is Adam Forbes, in fact. Obviously, about 3 seconds behind Matthew Wilson, still yet to pit, so he's still on those old soft tyres now. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's now all about this Racing Point team deciding when it's important and the right time to come in to replace those softs. So we'll have to see when that happens.
As a battle in the rear, and who's that that's been left? It's Robinson? Is that Robinson or Hartley? Down in P17, Mitchell and Robinson were having a battle, and I'm not too sure what happened there, because I just go onto Robinson. Yeah, it is Robinson. I go onto his camera, and he's in the wall.
That is, I don't see that on my screen. He's still driving, coming through turn 3 at the moment.
Sorry, he was in the wall. Now he's driving. We'll go ahead and have another look at that incident which caused the crash of O'Mara, who's currently in last position. So some good racing between the Renault and the McLaren, but yeah, he pushes him wide onto the gravel, which causes a spin. And unfortunately, Thomas Salomon, who was literally just trying to get out the way, forced wide. And Dylan Hartley Dylan Hartley was in P11. He probably ran over some of that debris, which is why he had to come in, and which is why we now see him down in P15.
Yeah, it's a real shame for Thomas Salomon, just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's real unfortunate. But as I said, that was some great racing between Josh O'Mara and Archie Middlefeld up until that point where the Renault driver completely pushed him out wide.
we're gonna go and try and get an aspect of things, but just in the meanwhile, someone who's gone on to the hard tyres, P16, Alex Renser.
Yeah, obviously, we were talking about the Red Bull boys before, obviously down in P60 now, but on those hard tyres, one of many on the hard tyres at the moment, other drivers are Dylan Hartley, Casper Meach, and Andre Abreu. So they're all on the hard tyres, obviously going for the longer run. He's getting a snap of oversteer coming through turn 3, obviously still getting those tyres warmed up after coming out the pits.
And we're going to go and get a unique perspective. So we've been talking in the past about the Racing Point garage and the sort of structure they have. So we're going to go into the Racing Point garage and we're going to get a team radio from them.
Just monitor the times in front, Sony.
The time.
I'm gaining a lot on them.
A we've gained about 2 seconds the last 3 laps.
Where's the yellow flag?
Losing. Massive style in.
Where's the yellow flag, Sony?
Don't know. It's green.
Okay. What's the gap to Charlie? Gap to Charlie and Robbie.
The gap to Charlie is about 8 seconds.
Matt's boxed. I'm in this lap,
Matthew
so I'll
has not
push.
boxed. It was Titan. He's pitted for
No,
the medium
but-
tyre.
Oh, okay, so both Matt and Tyson are boxed, so I'll push now. And I'll come at the end now.
We have 40% DRS. Our target lap now is 1.6 on the fuel.
Tyres feel okay, but I don't want to risk going out for another one. 67 on the ring. Yeah, sector 2 I'm lacking in a lot for the grip, because obviously the camber and stuff, but...
Alright. James,
just
you'll be
wanna play it
racing on the
safe.
pit exit. You'll race on the pit exit, so push.
What's busy on the exit?
AFM, there's about 4 cars there.
Because I'm boxing now.
AFM, our last lap was a 1.8.
They're all on hard, so what the hell?
An interesting perspective there from the Racing Point garage. We heard a little bit of how their team manufactures, how they manufactured the wins and the points positions that they get. We heard Joel Foxall coming in for the mediums, and we heard Wilson actually surprised that people were going onto the hard tyres. So what does that mean for Joel Foxall? Obviously, the mediums, this team have done their planning.
Yeah, definitely a great insight there from the Racing Point paddock. A lot of the top runners are coming onto those medium tyres, including Joel Foxall and Max Chapman. Archie Middlefeld still up in P2 on those old mediums, those mediums he started on. But yeah, Joel Foxall now in P4. He's got about a 3-second disadvantage to the Haas driver ahead of him.
We'll see the tyres that people are on. Casper Meach, with the 2 drive-throughs, still managing to maintain the points positions.
He's very good at serving penalties and being in good position, is Casper Meach. So he's obviously very aggressive. Obviously, Ian Kenco behind him in P10 on those medium tyres. So obviously, slightly faster tyre. They are quite close, and he's going to be getting that DRS coming into turn 4 now. So we may see an overtake from Ian Hanmore, but you know, this isn't necessarily going to be a good overtake for him. It's just going to be wasting that tyre advantage.
As far as I'm aware, next week, if it is possible, the Mercedes are planning a equipment upgrade for Ian Hanmore. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of it. It absolutely looks absolutely stunning. The new wheel that Ian will be rocking possibly next week. So
Yeah, it does look really, really cool. Ian Hammore's wheel, yeah, it's just amazing. Some great innovation there from the Mercedes team. And it'll be great to see that. And I'm sure you'd all love to see it as well.
yeah, well, stay tuned because he may actually be streaming that on his main channel. So if you do happen to see Kenco streaming the Kenco F1 League as an an exceptional circumstance, then do make sure you tune in, because that will be the race to see all of the new equipment that Ian will be getting, and it just absolutely looks amazing. But there's another virtual safety car because Amara, Wilson and Mitchell are dropping back. I'm not too sure what's happened. We'll go to the back of the pack and we'll see. Hartley's going slow because of the virtual safety car, so is Amara. Wilson has lost his entire front wing. It's to do with Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson and Amara definitely had an incident there. In fact, Wilson was facing the complete wrong way on the start-finish straight. So there's been some sort of incident between the McLaren driver and the Racing Point again with the McLaren driver.
Oh no. Absolutely. I mean, Josh has done amazing to stay in this race, but it's as if the lords the F1 laws, the Michael Massey and the FIA don't want him in this race.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, some great racing there from the part of a McLaren driver with that Renault incident. It's just a shame that he got pushed out a bit wide. But I didn't see this incident, so I really don't know who's at fault at the moment.
Yeah, me neither, but I just see, it looks really weird. It's almost like a naked car there, with no front wing. It looks absolutely peculiar, but we see him with the Racing Point nose. This virtual safety car is going to benefit him so much as he comes towards the pits.
Yeah, definitely. It depends, obviously, how long this safety car period stays on for, and I think it's already gone green. So that pitting under the safety car isn't going to be that advantage for pitting under the virtual safety car isn't going to be huge. But both the McLaren and Racing Point, understandably, coming in for that pit stop.
Down in P10 for the final points position, Muster has managed to get his way past Welsh, who was just dropping back quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Muster about 4 seconds off Ian Hanmore on those medium tyres. It's an interesting strategy, actually, soft to medium. We'll have to see how that plans out for people, whether there's going to be a lot of tyre wear at the end of the race. But, you know, these teams have been working on this all week.
There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 because Middlefell just went wide through the S's in the middle sector, and that meant that Widdowson and Chapman are now in front, but Titan, by 8 seconds, is in front.
Yeah, when you were in the Racing Point garage, he triggered the undercut, and it was a huge advantage. Max Chapman really lost out under the safety car period, and now Titan has just been steaming on, and he's got that 8-second advantage you were just talking about. So a great strategy this far from the Ferrari team.
And the Williams, despite their spin back in Sector 3, has managed to edge back all of that performance now in P5.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously on those hard tyres, so he's gained a net 10 positions in the race this far. So he's looking really, really strong at the moment. Obviously, he had that little mistake earlier, but that's all been rectified. And hopefully in the back of his mind now, he's just going to be pushing forward. He's looking really strong, as you said.
We'll go on board with Chapman and talk us through his lap, Sam.
Yeah, Chapman obviously behind this lapped car on my screen at the moment of Jay Robinson. No doubt he'll get out of the way in a minute. It looks like Casper Meach may have got another drive-through penalty. The sister Alfa Romeo, I'm not too sure if that's confirmed. I'll get back to that one in a minute. But coming through turn 9, still has this ghost car in the way. It's going to be very distracting for Max Chapman. But little lift coming through there, potentially just because of the high fuel loads. And obviously, towards the start-finish straight, past that lap car and onto lap 20. He's looking strong. Obviously, P2, he's got to gain about 8 seconds to the Ferrari to get that overtake done. He's got about 16 laps. So, you know, Max Chapman is mega quick. Obviously carrying that injury this week. But we'll have to see whether he can do it. It's going to be close. Really, really close. Coming through turn 3. He's obviously looking strong. Actually, he got the fastest lap on the previous lap. 1:06.79. So really good lap time there from the Alfa Romeo driver. Obviously on those medium tyres. Pitted a few laps ago and obviously lost out to the Ferrari driver under the safety car period, because the undercut seems to be so powerful around Austria. So that is why he's got to gain so much time.
I've just been into the Alfa Romeo garage. It's a very sour environment. Max Chapman is pushing as hard as he can. It's very silent, except for the screams of Casper Meach, who's just saying, I can't do anything. Every time there is a virtual safety car, I cannot stop the drive-through. So it's every time... I think that was on my end. Never mind. I saw that was on mine. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 once again because of Jay Robinson. But yeah, very sour environment in the Alfa Romeo garage.
Yeah, completely understandable by the sounds of it. The game is just giving him unnecessary drive-through penalties. You know, it might just be one of those things with the F1 2020 game completely out of our control, really, unfortunately. He's in P12 at the moment, obviously. After those several drive-through penalties, he's had to endure this race. Yeah, it's a shame for Casper. He was looking so strong.
Yeah, I mean, and we see the Red Bull ring sign back in the back. Only one of their drivers in the points currently.
Yeah, obviously, Andre Muster in P9, potentially going for his first points in the league. This could be a really good race to actually get them in, obviously, being at the Red Bull ring and being a Red Bull driver. So he's looking strong at P9 at the moment. He's got Dylan Hartley behind him by about 4 seconds. So if he maintains that, he should be good. But we know how strong Dylan Hartley has been in the last few races.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the moment, down in P10, he doesn't look that strong.
That is true. He's not having the best of races. Obviously, in qualifying, not the best one. But by the looks of it, his teammate's actually going to unlap himself. He's obviously got so much more pace. And we saw that in qualifying, actually, with Jay Robinson getting into Q3 and Dylan Hartley not.
Is that to do with the soft tyres that Jay Robinson is actually running?
Most probably, yes. That is why, obviously, on those soft tires, after pitting 3 times this far in the race, I don't think those soft tires will go to the end. So potentially trying to go for that fastest lap, trying to take that fastest lap point away from Max Chapman, trying to play the team game potentially, but we'll have to see what he does. But obviously, being able to unlap himself from his teammate at the moment.
We'll once again listen to the team radio, but this time we'll listen from the Haas garage.
Good job, Matt. Joel's 3 behind, so keep pushing.
We hear there, good job, Matt. That's not something we hear often.
No, a much more calm environment in the Haas garage. Obviously, that's what they thrive under with one of their drivers in P3. Obviously, one of our newest recruits to the league. Obviously, having that trial race here in Austria, and he was very, very strong, if I recall. So being in P3 at the moment, looking very good. So yeah, he's about 2 seconds behind Max Chapman and 2 seconds in front of Joel Foxwell. So he's very evenly distanced between the two.
We're starting to see, we're starting to see so many blue flags in the, in the middle sector. It's just everybody is getting lapped, and Jay Robinson for the first time with the fastest lap.
Yeah, I think that's what that strategy was, as I alluded to earlier. Getting that fastest lap, taking that point away from Max Chapman. And a good time it was too. A 1:05.1 from the Alpha Atari, which is a good time considering we are in a race trim.
And we're on board with Widdowson, the man who we just heard in the garage. Joel 3 behind was said. Joel is now 2.7 behind, so he's gaining about 5/10 a lap.
Yeah, it's obviously fast on those medium tyres. They're both on the mediums, obviously. But yeah, it's an interesting one. They've got to decide whether they want to fight Max Chapman. There's 2 cars ahead of them, 2 lap cars by the looks of it, fighting at the moment. So do they want to get involved with that? It's a really tricky balance for the Haas team.
Yeah, and just absolutely diametrically opposed, both the Racing Point boys. I mean, he's about to get lapped by his own teammate.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the fight between the Racing Point and the Mercedes at the moment coming towards turn 3. Ben Mitchell managed to get the lunge coming in towards turn 3. Obviously, turn 4 now. James Wilson a bit too far back. After that incident between Josh and Mara, he had a great start, but after that incident, not looking very good. Down in P15 at the moment. But yeah, as you said, Joel Fox will gain a lot, about a second on the last lap to Matthew Widdowson. So he's looking very, very strong.
Go ahead and talk us through one of Joel's laps.
So coming through turn 8 here, looking very, very nice, is Joel Foxhall. And also, here coming through turn 9, is he going to have to lift? Or, yeah, he did actually downshift by the sounds of it. So a big lift there from the Racing Point. Maybe still got a significant amount of fuel on board with about 12 laps left in the race. He's about 1.3 seconds behind Matthew Widdowson at the moment, so still not within that DRS range. But with the 2 guys, the 2 lapped cars fighting ahead, that may bother Matthew Widdowson, and maybe a good time for Joel Foxwell to get an overtake done, but he's still a bit too far back coming towards turn 4. So we'll have to see whether he can get the overtake done on a further lap, but by the looks of it, Matthew Widdowson has got past the 2 lap cars now coming towards turn 4, so nicely done there for the Haas guy. But those 2, the Mercedes and the Racing Point, still fighting very, very hard, even on a lap down, so that's really good to see at the moment.
Well, we saw someone get hung down a few, well, he's one of the opening laps, the new recruit, Imani Graham. Hello to you, Imani.
Hi, yeah, there was just a suspension problem in the rear, so got to let the engineers and mechanics have a look at that, so hopefully Silverstone will be better.
Yeah, a suspension issue. How did that affect you? Because we saw you coming through turn 10. Well, we didn't see you, but we saw your car in the wall. Was it? You said it's a suspension issue. How did that actually affect the car?
Well, I just lost control and then the rear just went on me and then just went straight into the wall.
Well, we also saw your teammate, who's currently actually in P5, but we also saw him in the same corner. Was it a similar sort of issue?
Yeah, it is, so it must be something to do with the setup of the car, so we're just going to have to look into that so it won't happen again.
Really, really shocking, and unfortunately for the Williams garage, that's going to be disturbing, especially since your teammate's in P5. If it happens again, then you've lost everything, but I'm sure it will be fine. Sam, have you got anything to add?
No, it's a real shame, obviously, DNF on your first race, but I hope you come back stronger in Silverstone. And no doubt you'll learn from the setup issue this week, hopefully.
I hope so too.
Well, it was unfortunate that you had to end your first full, well, your first race here at Kenco F1 like that. But I'm sure with a full week ahead of you, next week will be better than ever. Thank you, Imani.
Thank you.
What do you think, Tuamani? Because it definitely has the potential to be one of the better drivers.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, not the best start, but, you know, obviously he didn't have that full weekend in the car. Nobody was driving that car on Friday with not enough time to fill that seat. But as we said just then, he's going to have the full the full week ahead of him to practice for Silverstone in that Williams car. And obviously going to get the car in qualifying, which is really important just to know that the car is set up just how he likes it, and by the sounds of it, it was not this weekend.
I think this will be one of the first times, except for when he DNS, that we'll see Dylan Hartley finish outside the points, and I think that's very similar to Casper Meach as well. I think every time he's actually finished, he's finished within the points, so if he does not DNF as he goes wide there through turn 11, probably track limits warning there for him from the stewards, but I think if he does not finish inside the points, that's two people that are finishing definitely where they can't be, well, sorry, where they wouldn't normally be, and two people, which by de facto means two people inside the points that normally wouldn't be.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, a very uncharacteristic qualifying from both of the drivers you just mentioned, Dylan Hartley and Casper Meach. Obviously, Casper Meach in P10 after not being able to get round the lap fast enough to set a time, and obviously Dylan Hartley not getting into Q3. So yeah, not the best weekends from the two guys there, and Casper Meach will be very annoyed considering Max Chapman has got an 8-second deficit to Grizzly Titan up front, so not the best weekend for Alfa Romeo this week.
Wow, Titan chose the medium tyres, and so did Chapman, so they're both not going to fare as well, but in the second sector of the yellow flag, as Vauxhall manages to get past Widdowson into turn 3. Oh, and there's a full safety car. There's a full safety car. I'm not too sure. Is this for Widdowson? Did Widdowson lose it through turn 3? Yes, he did. His entire front wing portion has gone. That is why Joel Vauxhall is past, and that means there is a full safety car.
Must have spun coming through turn 3 or something. I'm not too sure what happened. Maybe he went too deep and hit the wall. But yeah, that's a real shame. He's really struggling, understandably, without that front wing. He was so strong in P3, but now Joel Vauxhall is promoting himself there.
Talk to us who this is going to benefit.
Oh, it's going to benefit the likes of Joel Vauxhall, but I'm actually hearing that he got hit by someone. I'm not too sure who that was, unless it was Joel Vauxhall. Because they were the only two that were battling, really. Obviously, the lap cars are ghosted, so it couldn't have been a lap car. So that's very interesting to hear, actually. The stewards will no doubt have a look after that. Look at that after the race, if there was an incident between him and Joel Vauxhall. But Joel Vauxhall is now up into the lead with both Grizzly Titan and Max Chapman pitting for those soft tyres. So that's obviously a good strategy there. But Joel Vauxhall, you know, he had that win taken away from him previously, but is he potentially going to have that again? Obviously, if there was an incident between Matthew Widdowson and Joel Vauxhall, that will no doubt be investigated, but I'm not too sure at the moment. But at the moment, he's in P1, looking very strong after both Grizzly Titan and Max Chapman pit.
I'm not sure what's going to go on here because Max Chapman and his team have put him on the soft tyres. Here's a word from their engineer.
Right, both cars box for softs now.
Both of them on the softs, and that's an interesting strategy because all three of the cars in front are either on the medium or the hard tyres.
Yeah, definitely. And at the same time as that decision made by the Alfa Romeo guys, Grizzly Titan did the same thing, but Grizzly Titan much better off with him being in P2, but Max Chapman's actually lost out to the Williams of Andre Abreu. It's obviously going to be on those much faster soft tyres. But yeah, that's still a slight disadvantage there, so hopefully he'll be able to get those positions back. And, you know, we saw that a few races ago with Casper Meach actually getting the win, just because that strategy from the Alfa Romeo wasn't very good for Max Chapman.
Yeah, sorry about the misinformation there from myself. Yes, Titan did manage to get onto the soft tyres. However, if we look in front of Titan, there is a Red Bull. I'm not sure if that is Rinser or Mustard, but he's not going to be able to let him pass because of the mechanics of F1 2020. And yeah, that means... Oh, no, he has let him pass. I'm not too sure how that's happened, but it was Mustard, I think. But yeah, they've been let past. All of the lapped cars have been let past, but I'm not... Oh, and there's a collision under the safety car between... Am I seeing things right?
No, I saw that. I think it's the McLaren of Josh O'Mara. He went straight into the back of Josh O'Mara. I really don't know what's happened there.
It was as if he got hit from the side, because like he just completely did a 360. Well, could that be the suspension issue once again emerging for the Williams team?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not too sure what's happened there, but Andre has lost so much front wing. That's such a shame for him. Looking so strong previously to that incident, being in P3, I think it was, after Matt Chapman pitted for those soft tyres.
That's really interesting, because obviously if there is a suspension issue, they can't turn the car. The rear is off the ground. They can't turn the car. So if that's what's happened, then maybe he's just gone straight into the back. We'll watch once again that incident between the two. So it's just coming through here. We see the Ferrari move out the way to let O'Mara and things past, and he just doesn't turn. O'Mara looks as though he steps on the brake, and Abreu just goes straight into the back of him.
It looked like O'Mara maybe was trying to get the Ferrari to get back in front of him. Obviously, Titan was really slowing down on the start-finish rate. I think it was to do with that Red Bull, as you said earlier, because the Red Bull let him pass, but the game would not allow that, and he probably would have got a penalty if he didn't let him back pass. So just a series of unfortunate events, and by the looks of it, Andre Abreu really lost out, but the safety car is in this lap.
We're watching that incident again. Yeah, just straight into the back of him. It does look as though O'Mara slows down too quick for him to react.
Yeah, definitely, and they've gone, and Joe Foxall has got a huge advantage. He's had an amazing restart.
Talk us through this, Sam.
Yeah, obviously Joe Foxall getting a really good restart. Titan in P2, Max as well, very, very close. Josh O'Mara is still there amongst the top after being lapped. But yeah, pretty clean restart by the looks of it. Nothing of any sort of craziness I can see, but the lap car's getting in the way as per usual, which is a shame for the top runners. But
they're going 3 wide into turn 3. Who's that going down the inside? That's Wilson trying to get through with the benefit of the ghosting of the car. Oh my god, I can't believe what's going on here. It looks like a roller derby with about 9 cars in the space of 10 meters of track space. Who's that? That is Hartley, who's managed to actually put himself up in P7. And Casper Meach, we said he might not be in the points, but both of them in the points now. Meach is going to challenge Dylan for that position. Ian Hammore is dropping back. He was in P4. He's now down to P6. Torben Schutt has managed to eradicate himself of those penalties and back up into P4 with Chapman now in the final podium position.
one more thing to mention that is very, very interesting. It suddenly got very, very dark across the Austrian circuit, and I may or may not be seeing drops of rain starting to drop on the visor of some of these drivers. So I'm not too sure if in the last 4 laps the rain could cause some chaos.
Oh, we're gonna go on board with the middle, the middle field, middle fell. We'll see if we can actually see any drops. Yeah, I can see drops on the halo. Just very, very light rain at this point, but 4 laps remaining. What is the strategy? Because they're all on the slick, soft tyres. Anyone who isn't on the soft tyres is going to really, really lose out due to tyre grip.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, in these treacherous conditions, with it being between wet and dry, you want to be on the soft tyre. It's going to be the most grippiest tyre in these conditions, and all of those that aren't are going to really struggle. So Casper Meach, that looks so strong after that restart in P7, may start to struggle in these conditions if the rain continues to come down. But my god, if it starts to rain more, it could cause a nightmare in the last few laps.
What about Foxall in the premier position? You see, he is currently sliding all over the place. That rear is not wanting any of it here in the Austrian peninsula. Chapman isn't gaining any turns though, so it's really interesting between the top 3 runners.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously Max Chapman's managed to get that overtake done on Titan, so he's looking strong for that win today. If he can get a move going into turn 3, he's looking very strong after that DRS zone on Joel Foxall. He's so close, he's gained so much time. I really think Joel Foxall could be starting to struggle on those medium tyres. The traction through the corner is going to be horrendous for the Racing Point
We
driver.
see him go round the outside of turn 4. This is not what we normally see, but he's in front into turn 4, closing the gate just so he doesn't go down the inside. And Max Chapman, with the soft tyres, is in front. This is a good strategy from the Alfa Romeo boys.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, they would not have been able to predict this rain coming at the end of the race. But yeah, Joel Foxall's struggling immensely on those medium tyres. It's just a real shame that the rain has come for them when it has. He was looking strong, getting an incredible restart. But I really think Titan's going to get that same move done on Joel Foxall.
The other Alfa Romeo is challenging for that P6 position with Robbie Welch, who is actually further back than we normally expect him to be. He's lost 3 positions from that start. We saw him pushing Ian Hammore out wide at that start, and Joel Foxall losing another position into turn 1.
Yeah, Joel Fox are really struggling on those mediums in these conditions at the moment. Casper, not so much, I don't think. But Casper and Dylan, we were saying previously they weren't in the points. They're both now in the points, so potentially could get a good recovery drive out of this interesting race today. But we'll have to see whether the rain affects them even more.
Yeah, so we see here on board or on the cameras with Titan, who's just chasing Chapman down. He doesn't have the pace in the wet, the greasy wet conditions.
Yeah, definitely. It's not quite wet enough for those intermediates yet, but I think we're going to run out of laps before they even consider switching to the intermediate tyres. But yeah, Titan is about 2 seconds behind, so outside of that DRS range of Max Chapman at the moment.
It doesn't look as though Jay Robinson is going to have his fastest lap taken from him as well. With these wet conditions, these drivers just can't put quick enough lap times on. So Jay Robinson, although it doesn't get him any points, he is going to have... Oh, Jay Robinson is out. I'm not too sure if I believe my eyes there. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3. I'm not too sure what happened there, Sam.
Coming through turn 8, he just spun as soon as
yeah,
we
I
started
see him in the
talking
back.
to him.
I see him in the back. The kiss of death we talk about.
Yeah.
The kiss of death of the commentator's curse. And down in P7, Hartley's got a move made on Widdowson, who previously, about 5 laps past, he was in P3.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a bit too far into the race now for another safety car. That's just how the game works. But yeah, Dylan Hartley in P7, Castle Meach in P6, getting that move done on Matthew Widdowson, I believe it was. So yeah, great stuff for those two, considering they were... Well, Castle Meach has had all those drive-through penalties to deal with, and Dylan Hartley not having the best race pace today.
Don't know if I can believe my eyes. Welsh has been through the pits 4 times, and Meach 5 times, yet they still in the top points positions. That is absolutely... Yeah. Well, it's just vindication, and it is proof that once again, who is that spun? Is that Ian or is that Ben? I'm not too sure. I think it was a synchronized spin there from the Mercedes boys. Either Ben or Ian have spun coming through turn 3. But as we were saying, these wet conditions are getting so much worse. Middlefeller's now got past Widdowson. He is struggling so much.
Yeah, just as you talk about Robbie Welsh, he actually spun. Honestly, you're casting your curse on all of these drivers.
I tell you what, I just talked about Widdowson as well, and he's gone off.
Oh my god, we should honestly stop talking about these guys. These wet conditions are getting trickier and trickier. We're going to have to look out for any of the top guys if they make those mistakes, because that will potentially cost them the win today.
Oh, you said one of the top guys. Another huge tap and oversteer from Max Chapman. He managed to catch it into there, but Titan is now but 10ths behind him. It says a second, but that is I can assure you that is not the gap between those two drivers. And he's gone deep. He's gone deep. And Titan. Oh, and he's blocked the track. He's spun. Max Chapman has spun. Titan is into the lead. He's reset to track. Torben Schutt and Titan are now in the P1 and 2 positions. I can't believe ourselves. The kiss of death on Max Chapman. That's 4 drivers we talked about. And immediately they've lost out.
Yeah, and Torben Schutt is so close to the back of Titan. He's got a bit more pace by the looks of it in these wet conditions. He may get that move done before the end. Obviously, it's the last lap. They're fighting for this win, the 2 Ferrari boys.
Well, I don't know if they should be free to fight, because if they fight, they may go wide. We talk about it! With a huge snap of oversteer, and Torben Schutt is into the lead, but stay on your seats, folks, because this could end any which way through the final couple of corners. He comes into turn 10. Chapman is spun once again. Foxhall is now into the podium positions, and Torben Schutt through turn 10. He looks decidedly in front of a huge skid there from his teammate. Torben Schutt, for the first time ever, a Ferrari 1-2. Looks like it's on the cards. Torben Schutt, a Grand Prix winner in the Kenco F1, and Joel Foxhall on the podium in front of the Alfa Romeo boys, but Joel Foxhall's got a penalty, and Chapman is into the P3 position. So it is Torben Schutt and Titan, P1 and 2, and behind him on the podium is Chapman.
I can't quite believe that just happened. Every single driver we spoke about, they had an incident. Obviously, Chapman promoted to P3 after that time penalty from Joel Foxhall. But yeah, a crazy end to the race today.
Ian went onto the intermediate tyres and got into the 9th position there, just going across the line. And behind them, Widdowson, who we saw spun multiple times, just losing it out.
Yeah, that was an interesting strategy there from Hanmore. And Rince almost loses it coming out of the last corner. One of the last guys to cross the line. Damn, he's skidding all over the place. But yeah, crazy last 2 laps. Adam Forbes in P17, the last guy to cross the line. He's obviously got some sort of penalty. But yeah, these conditions are very intense at the moment, and I'm sure the drivers are very glad it ended when it has.
Especially the Ferrari boys, both of them coming to the end on the soft tyres, and the first 1-2 for Ferrari. What a drive that was.
Yeah, a great, I mean, shocking, but great win for Torben's shot. I do think he was not going to be expecting that today, but yeah, a Ferrari P1 and P2, some interesting stuff after, and a very crazy last lap, really.
Well, we haven't actually mentioned it yet, but go ahead and vote for your driver of the day. Exclamation mark DOTD in the chat. kencotv.uk/vote to vote for your driver of the day. What an interesting end that was, and it's going to be interesting who actually wins.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of different competitors for that today. But yeah, what a race. What an interesting one. Very, very crazy towards the end there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what an interesting end that was. And someone we definitely didn't intend, or not intend, but expect to win was Mr. Torben Charlie, who is with us in the commentary box. What a race that was. And right to the end, we thought your teammate or Max had it, and you just pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah, that was incredible. I still can't believe that ending, and to be honest, my hand is still shaking from that. I can't believe that ending. I think Max, I don't know if he made a mistake or if there was any contact. I couldn't see it, but yeah. And then after that, I think Grisler, he made a little mistake there in I don't know, it was like turn 8 or something. I'm not too sure, but I just saw the opportunity and I knew I had to go for it, and that's just what I did. So I think it was a little lucky in the end as well, but you know, I take it.
Well, I tell you what happened between Max Chapman. Max Chapman got a huge snap in the last lap. I don't know if Sam could recall anything of what happened, but 3 or 4 times we gave the kiss of death to a driver. We said, they're doing so well, they spin. We say, oh, who's that overtaking? Max Chapman is overtaking Titan into turn 3. He gets a massive snap of oversteer. Your teammate rear ends him, accidentally, of course. It didn't look intentional at all, causing him to spin, and that just meant you could fly right by. But Charlie, I'm telling you, mate, it's been a long time coming, this win, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely really tricky, and like you just said, turn 3 is a very challenging corner. You can always get like oversteer due to the traction, and yeah, it's really easy to have like a half spin there. So you always have to watch out and always have to be on the limit. You're always like struggling with the throttle, and I don't know. It's just this circuit is really tricky to master, but I love it.
Well, you managed to do it today, and that is definitely deserved, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was completely unexpected from my point of view. But did you think that you had a chance of getting the win? Obviously, the rain came very towards the end of the race. But did you think you have any chance of the win today?
No, I that was completely unexpected. I was hoping for getting like a top 5 finish in the end, but
Yeah.
like I said, everything just happened so quickly in the end. There was the mistake by Max. I think Joel had a bit of wing damage as well. I'm not too sure, so I was
Yeah.
able to overtake him, and a few people might have boxed for Inters as well. And yeah, that was completely unexpected. I wasn't expecting any of that. No.
Well,
I'm not surprised.
you definitely outperformed our expectations today. And is this the first of many?
Whoa, that might be a bit too much. I just have to look from race to race. Who knows? You know, maybe if like weather comes into my luck, and yeah, if things just go to plan, then I might have a chance. But yeah, in terms of raw pace, I have to see. I'm usually a few tenths behind the top 3 runners, but I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to say we can definitely title you the Rainmaster. Absolutely spectacular drive for you, Charlie.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, what a beautiful drive that was from him, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, a bit crazy with the rain at the end, but he was again in the right place at the right time. We obviously saw that with previous winners, with that of Dylan Hartley and Monaco. You know, that crazy last lap, but he was just in the right place at the right time, being very conservative in the wet, and it really played off for him in the end. So great stuff.
We're gonna actually have to invite Charlie back to pick up his Driver of the Day award.
Oh, did I win today?
Yeah.
Well, thanks to all the people out there who voted for me.
Well, I'm sorry to bring you back in order to do that. We couldn't all do it in one go, but thank you to everybody who voted for Charlie, and thank you to everybody who stayed by and watches. And once again, Charlie, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for today, folks. Just talk me through what you thought of today, Sam.
I mean, it was a good race overall. Obviously, without the rain, I think it would have been a bit less exciting. But yeah, the rain at the end of the race really played into some drivers' hands. Obviously, Torben Charlie's hand really played into his today. But yeah, it was a great race overall. Some good stuff from a lot of the drivers. Some great overtakes as well. I really like that that racing between Josh O'Mara. Just unfortunate that the Renault pushed him out a bit wide.
Well, I definitely had a lot of fun commentating today, and I hope you all had a lot of fun watching. Make sure you tune in next week, next Friday, for the British Grand Prix, for the Sir Lewis Hamilton Straight. Cops, Maggots and Beckett's, Luffield, all of the names you know and love. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you soon.